So before we start, working on IK and FK on your rig and everything, let's go ahead and start at least preparing, making the controls for now. And this can both be done in Maya or in Adobe Illustrator. So let me go ahead and give you an example. So in Adobe Illustrator, you can still make things and transfer to Maya because it's still vector based, and you can still get some, these arrows and circles and, letters and shapes still made in Illustrator here, like I did over here. So what we're doing specifically is that we're going to start making controls for both the forward chromatics and inverse chromatics controls. And you can tell, making controls for the feet, controls for the entire rig to move, controls for the arm, hips, spine, wrist, everything. And you can tell around the elbows and knees facing that there's controls there, and this will be used for the IK rig, part of the rig. So just a quick look, and all these controls will be the original pivot will be aligned with the joints in some way or manner. Okay, so I've been aware you guys have been using Illustrator, so let's go ahead and start making some controls in Illustrator. Then any remaining that we're missing, we can go ahead and make it in Maya. So with the pen tool, I went ahead and created this basic, arrow left and right shape. Separate text boxes for the FK and IK, that'll be important. Circle, and I'm using this in place of these, what we call the pull vectors, and this will be control for the controlling the knees or elbows. So I know it'll probably look different from this, but this star-like shape or whatever can still be used to indicate a pull vector. So give you guys a few minutes to create that stuff, but once you guys create it, you want to make sure that each thing is expanded, just to be on the safe side, so it works properly in Maya. So I tested it earlier. You're definitely going to want the FK and IK text boxes to be expanded. Let's go ahead and, yeah, that's good. So just going back on the model here, an example, I'm sure you noticed around the wrist and bottom and the moving control that there's an arrow going up and down, left and right. And once you guys make a shape like this, the left and right arrow, you can go ahead and just alt click and drag to go ahead and duplicate it. Go ahead and do that again just to make another one. Go ahead and rotate it 90 degrees. Go ahead and bring it there so it's aligned together. I know it doesn't look the same, but we can go ahead and select both of them and go ahead and go to the pathfinder on your right, on the right side where the properties are, and go ahead and click on this one here. Oops. And it'll go ahead and create that shape similar to what we're going to be doing for the rest here. So let's just go ahead and just to make things a little bit cleaner, go get rid of the fill, just give it some of the stroke, and more or less this is going to be similar to what you're going to need here. And I guess we can take the time to go ahead and make your foot controls in Illustrator. So let's go ahead and do that. Make another circle here. Let's go ahead and select on, let's see, yeah, the direct selection tool. Let's go ahead and start manipulating the shape of it to get roughly the shape of the foot. It's not going to be too perfect, but as long as we get the pretty close, I think we'll be fine. So roughly a shape like that. I think you can still come back here and tweak it in Maya. So I think this will be all different controls that you can use for this rig. So let's go ahead and start saving it so we can import it to Maya. So we're going to go to File, and then we're going to go to Save As. And we can go ahead and put AI. You can go ahead and put AI underscore let's see, controls, then underscore Maya. Then format Illustrator, it's good. Go ahead and press save. Then from here, we can go ahead and we need to change the version from Illustrator 2020 to Illustrator 8. And the reason why we're doing that is because this is the format that Maya will be able to read. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And come to Maya. We're going to go ahead and just hide the controls that were created earlier. Okay. So say this is how your character looks, joints and everything. We're going to go ahead and go to Import. Go to wherever you've had your Illustrator file, but we need to change the files type to Adobe Illustrator so it can pop up, and there you go. AI controls Maya. Go ahead and import it. Then there you go. You have your controls here created in Illustrator and now imported to Maya. I have a duplicate circle. We can just go ahead and delete that. Make sure there's nothing else here. Right, we can just delete this duplicate. All right. So just making sure everything's fine here. Our pole vector control, we can just go ahead and, let's see, we can just go ahead and combine it or group it together, just, you know. But it looks like everything here works. Then what you're going to want to do is select or highlight and select it all. Then you want to come up here and go ahead and delete history, go ahead and freeze transformations, go ahead and center pivots to all of them. So whenever we select them, all the pivots will be center to them. So you can go ahead and just select it all. Just move it a little bit closer to your model so you have it there. But now we can go ahead and start, command duplicate and start, duplicating the whole thing. Let's go ahead and bring back my grid. So let's start with the, I guess, origin point of your rig. Let's start holding X and start dragging it to the center. Then press E to rotate. Hold J to get more of the snapping of the rotation. Hit R to resize, and there you go. We're first step into making our own control for this. You can go ahead and just tweak it up a little bit. There you go. Just make it as clean as possible. It might be easier at this point to start hiding parts of your model so we can snap onto those joints a lot better. And I'll give you an example right now. So we're going to continue to duplicate. And say, example, I want to snap onto the knee joint on the character's right leg. I want to hold V so I can snap the things. And it's having issues snapping because it's trying to snap on the geometry here. But if you were to snap onto the joint by itself without geometry around it, it will snap cleanly. Then from there, we can go ahead and resize that control. Then we go ahead and just bring back the rest of the character. And there you go. You got a control here. Now, this doesn't look completely centered to what we're looking for, so we can go ahead and select it, go ahead and move it back to it's more centered. But now our pivot point is not locking on to the joint that we're wanting to. So let's go ahead and hide there you go. Go ahead and select it, hold D, then hold V afterwards. Then you can go ahead and snap onto that better. So that way it's there. Okay, so this is all selected, or yeah, once we get the character back, we're starting to get controls to where we want. So it's just basically going to, all the joints more or less, looking at what controls need to be added in those areas. And we will get here, we can use this as a reference to this point. So if you want to pause here, use as a reference, we're going to be creating a couple joints all around the arm, wherever the fingers bend, and we'll need to be creating joints here in this chest to match those joints there. So we can go ahead and duplicate that there. Go ahead and hide this so it can snap better. So I can just press H. Snap the pivot. Boom, there. We can bring back character. And there you go. Now you got a control there, but now it's, like again, it's not clean. So let's go ahead and polish it up more. Bring it out here. Go ahead and shrink it, rotate it. We're trying to make it as best as possible. Shrink it a bit more. And now you got to control the clavicle area here. And we're gonna go ahead and continue to clean it up better. Let's go ahead and snap the pivot back to it there, and there you go. So whenever we were to control, we'll be controlling that area better. And eventually all these controls will be connected to each other and will serve as the way to control the entire character and animate it. So obviously make another one here for that one. So it's going to duplicate. Snap it onto that side. There you go. So there's some examples how you want to place your controls onto the character. You got some for the head. Has a pivot onto the neck area. The neck pivot down here. The spine controls. Around the hip area, you're gonna want to have two of them. One of these will be able to control like the entire character. The other one will be specifically for, let me rephrase it. One will be for the spine, moving it, and the other one will be for when you have the IK systems to be able to have the character, bend down all at once. So you'll be able to see what I'm talking about that soon once we start working with the IK. So yeah, that's basically it. And just, you know, take your time making those controls, start placing them, getting them imported from Illustrator. And I guess one thing I forgot to mention is that, hey, why, you know, the control is blue. So go ahead and select one of your controls, and you're gonna have to do it individually with all of them, but you want to go to I guess whatever the name of it here is. I guess it's curve shape 24. It's probably different on yours, but you're gonna want to find a window that looks like this. You want to go under object display, open that tab. Then from there, you're gonna try to find a tab called drawing overrides. So you want to go and open that tab here. You want to click on enable overrides. So check that, mark that. Then you want to go find color. Then drag it and find the light blue color that matches our controls here. Then boom, there you go. You got that color. And eventually, you know, whenever go on the rig, typically I like my legs to be different color. So say I'll probably go with yellow. That way, you know, I know which leg I'm working on. Just my personal preference here. I don't know why it's not. Okay, yeah, there we go. So that's just a personal preference of mine, to make, you know, a little bit more cleaner. So that's roughly what's going to be done for creating a lot of these controls. And while we're going, you know, making the character rig, there might be a few controls that might be missing, but I think we created all of them already. And you're probably wondering, hey, why is there two controls on the wrist? One of them is going to be for the FK, and the other one's going to be for the IK. So some of these controls will be turned on and off, so basically hidden, and that's why we have, you know, some overlapping controls here.